Hello everyone, welcome to the day one of React optimization hook. Okay, I hope you guys are doing well. Okay, so before we start, okay, if you have any questions related to any topic in web development or Gen AI, right? Feel free to put it in the chat box. So if you are someone who is attending it live or someone who is going to see it, later and then also you can just post like any specific topic which you feel is difficult or you struggle with, right? I would love to address. Of course, there are few sessions that I've already scheduled, okay, and these live lectures are going to happen every week, okay. So but yes, if there is any specific topic you struggle with or you have doubts with, feel free to put it in the chat box in the comment section, okay. And I would love to help you guys with that very topic. Anything in Monstack, GenAI, or any specific career related staff interview prep, feel free to put it in the chat or comment section. Okay, now let's start. I'll share my screen. So today's topic is very interesting. Okay, that is something you will need if you work with React.js. Okay, so now I hope my screen is visible to all. Okay, so what we are going to discuss is something you all need. Okay, if you work with React.js, that is optimizing. So if you work with any tech stack, right? If you work with front end, back end, or Java, or any programming language, right? Or any app you are building, so you have to make it the best, right? You want to make it the best for everyone. And there are a few rules you have to follow when you're building, okay, especially if you work with React.js. Okay, so there is something called optimization hook. Okay, so here I'm assuming you guys are already aware about hooks. Okay, you're already aware about React.js. Okay, so now this is just another layer to it. If you're working with React.js, how you can optimize it. Okay, using this optimization hook. Okay, so it's a 3 days, 3 day live boot camp. Okay, so today is day one, tomorrow will be day two, and day after tomorrow will be day three. Okay, all the 3 days we'll be discussing about different books. Okay, so today what we are going to discuss on day one. Okay, we will be discussing about React memo. Okay, this is one thing. Secondly, we'll talk about use memo. Okay, so these are the two important things we'll see. And today I will demonstrate it with you, demonstrate this part not just with the thought process, this is use memo, this is the definition, or rather, this is how you use it, right? But rather, I'll show you in real time application where you actually use it. Okay. So next time you're building any React application, you should know that this is the hook I should use. This is the high order component I should use. Okay, so that you should have a clarity on that. So with said that, let's see the problem. Okay, now again, just like we followed for SQL Bootcamp, what I have done, I have prepared this document which I'll be sharing you guys in the end. Okay, and you guys know the drill. If you want to get access to whatever code I'm going to write, okay, here in VS Code, and whatever this lesson content is, right? If you want to get access to this document, then I'll be you have to join the community link is inside the description of this live that you're still attending, or maybe you're watching it after the live has ended. Okay, there's a WhatsApp community, and there we share whatever upcoming boot camps we have or live sessions we have, and all the today's code content. Okay, whatever I'll be discussing, everything I'll be sharing in the same. Okay, so last week we had SQL bootcamp. This week we are having this React optimization. Okay, and whatever upcoming boot camps and everything will be. So you can just check out my YouTube channel. In that, of course, you will see the live section and you'll see upcoming boot camps. Okay, now let's start. Okay, so firstly, we'll discuss about use memo hook. Okay, so I hope you like if you're someone who are a working professional or someone who have a brief idea about hooks, right? So that is what is needed. Like you should know about use state, use effect, right? Use context, use reducer. So these type of hooks you should already know. Okay, on the top of it we'll see optimization. Okay, so firstly we'll talk about use memo. Okay, so of course every if I just see it with two perspective, right? First perspective is to learn the concept. Okay, and then we are going to implement in our project or maybe in our workspace. Okay, we are going to use this concept. Second thing is interview perspective. Okay, because let's say if you're someone who is a skilled fresher, means you already know React, you know hooks, but now you want to upgrade yourself with skills which a working professional has, right? You already have some skills, now you want to upgrade in the same tech stack, right? So there are two perspectives. Today we'll be covering this topic. Okay, I'm just setting the base so that you understand this video is for you or not. As simple as that. Okay, so if you are a working professional who works with React.js and struggle with these type of hooks, and they, if you don't apply these in your projects, ideally you should. So you will get to know that. Secondly, you're a skilled fresher, means you already know this tech stack, but then on the layer of it or the top of it, you are going to apply it. Okay, you're going to learn it. Okay, and it will help you with the interview part. Okay, so for both the perspective we are going to cover. So obviously if this question is asked in interview, what is use memo? Okay, it's very simple. It's a React optimization hook. Okay, what it do, it will memorize the result of a specific value. Okay, or else say expensive calculation inside a component, when rerunning will happen only when the dependencies change. Okay, in simple words, okay, this is how you can explain the official definition. Even if you just go and Google use memo, okay, you will get the official definition. Okay, but now the next part comes. Can you explain it with a real time example? Okay, that is where your main thing comes. So definition wise, if we understand, it is something that will reduce the expensive calculation. It will help during rerunning. This during re-rendering, this hook is going to help us. Okay, so during re-rendering, this hook is going to help us. Okay, and I've seen a lot of students when, let's say, I take their mock interviews. I ask them like, what is the expensive calculation you're trying to handle, or what is that thing you're trying to memorize? And if most of them say that we're trying to memorize some state value, okay, and answer is wrong. We are actually not memoizing the state. We are memoizing a variable value which is dependent on some state variable. Okay, so today you will understand this in detail once we'll go in the code, but it's important that you understand that what we are trying to memorize, we are trying to memorize some result value. Okay, and that result, whatever is being calculated in that function, okay, or any specific operation, we will make it dependent on some state variable. Okay, so use memo will help you during re-rendering. Okay, it will help you to memoize the, okay, let me quickly write. It will help you to memoize the specific result. Okay, not the state, which will be further dependent on that, where rerunning will dependent on state change. Okay, on state change. Okay, this is the main idea. Now let's see the problem. Okay, so now the next part of it is, someone asks you in interviews, can you explain me with some examples? So we'll do that. Okay, and also if you are a working professional, how to implement in a real time application, you will get idea. Okay, now next part we'll see. So this is my. I'll just give you a quick idea. So I've already created a basic structure. Okay, not the code, not the main code. Okay, but obviously I don't want it to be very blank and just blank screen, and then I'm showing you the some optimization hook. But I just wanted to make it in a way that if you go back, you should know like how to apply it in a real time application. Okay, so I've just created a simple tech connect event application. Okay, so let me just wait for this to run. Okay, so just to give you an overview, so I'm using this React beat setup here. Okay, so it is currently running at localhost 5173. That's the local server in the system that it is running on. Okay, so you can see it's a very basic app. Okay, so all the 3 days we will be discussing this. I've kept it super structured and super clear. So today is day one, so we'll be discussing something on events, events tab. Tomorrow we'll work on dashboard. Third day we'll work on live feed. Okay, so it's day one, day two, day three. So I've kept it very simple so that it doesn't feel confusing, like where I'm going and applying this concept. It's very simple. Whatever we'll learn today will apply just in events. What we'll learn tomorrow will apply just in dashboard, and whatever we'll learn on third day will apply in live feed. Okay, and it's very simple. It's a nav bar. Okay, and this is my nav. This is my layout. I'll quickly show you. This is the folder structure. Okay, so if I have to explain you the folder structure quickly, that we are following today. Okay, I'll write it here simply. So the folder structure for today's session we are following is, okay. So I'm using React 19. Okay, so I'm using React 19 here. Okay, and for styling I'm going to use Tailwind CSS. Okay, after this we are going to use, like you do the installation, we are using Beat setup. Okay, and in folder structure what we are doing, there is a pages folder. Okay, and there is a component. Pages have your dashboard, events, live feed, and home, which you clearly see in the app as well. And in the component folder, we will have event cards, okay, and layout. Simple. And layout is your basic layout structure. That contains your navbar. Okay. So this is the folder structure. Quickly, I'll walk you guys through this. App.js. Simply, I've implemented routing. So layout is, so now you can see components has two things: events card and layout. So you'll see layout is nothing but a component which basically is a nav bar. Okay, so you can see I'm using Tailwind CSS here. So there's a nav bar, I'm migrating over it. Okay, nav bar, and you can see this nav bar is coming here, this black part, the nav bar. Okay, over here. Okay, then this app contains this routing. So if I click on home, it will open this page, which is nothing but a simple cards. I'll say I have created simple card. Okay, and it contains some information regarding Tech Connect. That's it. Okay, now now where we are going to start with, we are going to start with this events today. Okay, so today we'll work on this events, tomorrow we'll work on this, and third we'll work on this. Okay, it's very simple. Now what we are going to do inside this structure, okay, so I'll just remove this event. So now you can see events is coming here. Okay, so firstly what we will do, we will get the events data. Okay, simply we'll create some events data over here. Okay, and this event data I'll be like manually creating in front of you, because I want you guys to understand this concept like super well. Okay, so I'll start from like super scratch. So I'll just make this as empty tag for now. Okay, and here I'll say, so what I want, of course, events is the type of events. So what are the type of tech events that are going to happen? I want to display that data. Okay. Then on this page, I want two functionalities. I want to implement toggle theme. Okay. Toggle theme, like, you go to a website. For example, let's say if I go to my own website, okay, simple. If you see, there is a toggle button here for the theme. So here you see. So if I click on this, you can see the theme is changing. And if I click on this, you can see the theme is changing. Okay. So this is what I'm going to implement in this page. Plus there will be a functionality where all the events card will come, and then I want to implement search functionality on that. Okay. These are the two things we'll do on this. Okay. So first of all, let's create the structure, okay, that we want here. So simply I'll say in the return, I'll have a div tag. Okay, inside this div tag, I'm going to apply all the for CSS. I'm using Tailwind. Okay, so if you are someone who is new to Tailwind, just to give you a clarity, so Tailwind gives you this predefined utility classes, plus you can make changes to those utility classes if you want. Okay, so if you someone who comes from, let's say, bootstrap background, so you will understand like p hyphenating, like this will be the padding, then I want this data like rounded, the corner should be rounded for my card. Okay, so this is a pre-structured code that I'll be using. Okay, then I want to add some transition. Okay, so if you're someone who is new to CSS, okay, then basically I'm using this styling framework called Tailwind CSS. Okay, so I'll create the basic structure. So what I want here, firstly I want to implement the toggle. Okay, that is what I want to implement. So let me add comments side by side. Okay, so let's say toggle. So firstly we'll implement that. Okay, so I'll say I will have a div. I'll put a heading here. Let's say event schedule. Okay, inside this I'm going to apply some Tailwind. So these CSS classes is all coming from Tailwind. Okay, so I'll say justify between items center. Okay, just that I didn't wanted to, show you guys something with a plain screen. I just wanted it to be some real time use case. That's why I'm putting some Tailwind. It will hardly take a 10 minutes. Okay, then we'll move to the use memo part. Okay, So I'll put a, let's say, text to Excel. That's the size of the text. Okay. Font bold is exactly like your font weight. Okay. Let me quickly tell you if you don't know these classes. It's very simple. So just we do just like we do display flex. So it is like that. Okay. Then after that we do. Okay. Let me remove this. Okay. So okay. So here you guys can see this means rounded, just like you do na border radius. So this property is for that. Shadow is for adding the shadow to this box. Border property is for adding the border. Okay. Then transition we are adding here. Okay. Then after that, I have flex. Def flex means you have applied display flex property. Justify between means you have applied justify content space between. Okay. Item center means align item center. MB means margin bottom six. Okay. These are the classes. This is what these classes mean. Okay. After this, we are going to apply a button. There for button, obviously, just like in my website, I've added this icon. Okay. But at the end of the day, it's a button that I'm clicking on. Okay. So I'll apply the same here. I'll put a class here. Okay. We'll style this button. So I'll say ex for 4. That is padding this left and right. py2. Okay. Background color, I'll say indigo hyphen 100. Okay. And I'll say text indigo hyphen 700. Okay. So 700 is the depth of the color simply. Semi bold. Okay. Font weight property. Rounded. Medium. Okay. And when I hover over this, okay, so we can apply pseudo classes directly like this in Tailwind. Background indigo hyphen 200. Okay. This is what we have here. Okay, now inside this button, so I'll just put the text here. Okay, let's say toggle theme. We can put some icon if you want, just like I have added in my website, or I can just put this toggle theme button here. Okay, so this is what you will see here. So I have this div tab. So I will these are the CSS I have added. So this is first part where I want to implement the toggle functionality. Obviously, there will be a on-click event. I'm just mentioning you guys. There will be a on-click event. Okay, in this I'll put the function later. Okay, after this, we will have, of course, the second part, which is the input box. So in input, what I want to put like the search functionality. Okay. So like I said, someone can come and search for the card. So I'll just put here input. Okay. And here placeholder, let's say search. After this, I'll say value will come. Okay, it will be some state variable. On change, we'll see what function will come, and I'll put some class name to it. Okay, I just hope I have not messed up any spelling. Width hyphen full means width will be full. Okay, padding 4, rounded corners Excel. Okay, then I'll put border to it. Okay, then after this, adding the border, we are going to apply, let's say, text black. Okay, then I'm going to apply shadow to it. Then I'm going to apply, if I focus on this, I'll say ring indigo. This is the color. Ring indigo, let's say 200. Okay, so this is how I've just applied some CSS to it. Okay, to this input box. And of course, data will be captured simply on change. Okay, and on change, some function will be called. Okay, so now this is the basic I have created. Let me bring it to the next slide. So you can see type is coming, placeholder is coming. Okay, value will be the, of course we know the state variable and the on change. Okay, so that is done. Okay, the basic structure is ready. Let's see how it's going to look. Okay, so here you can see it's coming. Okay, now what we are going to do next in this, we are going to apply. Okay, we are getting some error here. Okay, for button. Okay, so we are getting some, okay, we are expecting some method names. Okay, well, let's do that. Okay, so the second step is, we know in React whenever, because state is an intermediate, right? So even if you are getting the data from an API, you have to store it in state and then you display in UI. And whenever you're capturing user input also, you store it in the state and then you do the post request. So simply, now I want two state variable. One is for search, okay, where user, I can search and store what user is searching for, the event name. Then I'll say set search term, okay, is equal to use state, and I'll keep it as empty string for now. Okay, and not toggle theme. How toggle theme works? It's very simple. Okay, toggle theme, like even my own website have developed. Okay, you can see it simply. If I click on this, okay, it will become true, and if I click on this, the theme will become false. So when it is false, then you have a different set of CSS, and when it is true, then you have a different set of CSS. This is how I have created. Okay, it's very simple. So that theming is handled through some boolean variable. Okay, so I'll create something here. Let's say is dark mode. I'll keep it as dark mode, comma set is. So now why I have taken this example, because Tim, when you work with real time, generally you will have these search functionalities, you will generally have this toggling functionalities. Okay, so now you, this will give you the perspective where to apply use memo. Okay, just in like 10 minutes we'll see use memo. Okay, so now we have this search item, like we're searching, we are going to store it in the state. Okay, then we will have some use state, okay, not use search, where we are storing this. Okay, then what I want to create, like, there are two options now to get the events data. There are two options: either I do some API call and get the events, okay, or I can create the events here itself. Okay, so how can we do it? It's very simple. I can just say const, okay, events is equal to, okay, simply I'll get all the events here. So now if for creating all the events, okay, so real time, of course, I just want to mention here, real time your data will come from an API. Okay, but today our focus is not too much of API integrations and all. So I'll just create quickly some events here. So we can use this array method. Okay, from your array object function constructor, we can construct an array on the spot with some properties. Okay, and as we know that we work with a lot of predefined methods. Okay, with whenever we work with React.js. Okay, so I'll just apply this here, underscore comma. Okay, why am I not able to type it? Huh. So here you can see this. So simply I'm constructing an array. In real time, we work with majorly array of objects. For example, your Facebook data, Instagram data, Amazon, all the products is an array of object, right? So majorly the data that we work with here, especially we majorly work with array of object. So I am saying create an array with 5,000 length, means 5,000 array elements are going to be there. Okay, and in that I'm going to put, let's say, comma. Okay, and here I'll say return. Okay, now what you want to add? I want to add a ID, which is I. Then I want to add a title. How the title will be? Title will be, let's say, tech connect. Okay, submit, and there will be some number. I'll say I. Okay, then I'm going to add speaker. Okay, now here I'll say, so real time, of course, you will have API call. I'll say speaker. Okay, and I use the wrong string here. It's going to be template strings. Okay, so this is how it's going to be. Okay, so now on the spot, I just to make you guys, just to show some events data here, I just created it on the spot, constructed it on the spot. Okay, so this will be the event name. This will be the speaker. If just in case you are not aware of this method, it's very simple. It's used to construct an array on the spot with, let's say, array of object or with some specific properties, complete from scratch. Okay, or you can simply do an API call as well. Okay, this is how you can construct. So it's basically one object. So this is iteration. Okay, I hope that you guys understand the syntax. This is nothing but this curly brace over here, and then you have a return here. Okay, just to avoid it, I am using a shortcut syntax. Okay. Now this is created. Now simply I want to do search functionality. Okay, so if you want to, so my events data is this. I want to implement some search functionality. So Before search functionality, let's quickly do one thing. Okay, let's send this data to or display this data of events. Okay, so before we go to this, let's display this events data. Okay, so for displaying the event data, there will be a separate card we'll be creating today. Okay, so this will be the events card. So I will simply say events card, okay, component, and I'll pass this events data there. Okay, when we will implement search functionality, okay, then I'll send that filtered events. Okay, some of you might be wondering why am I writing too much of, why am I spending my time writing too much of CSS code? Why am I spending too much time of, I could have kept it as a pre-structured code as well. Okay, the only reason I'm doing this is so that you guys literally get a feel of how it is going to be implemented in real time. It shouldn't be random, like, because this is your thought process will be, right? You will, like, this code will be replaced with, you will get the data from an API, then you will be displaying the cards. Okay, so that you guys get the idea here, that's why we are doing it. Okay, so we will send all this events data. Now this all events data will come here. Okay, and we know when this data will come here, we will do destructuring. Okay, so we'll say, so we get props here, but directly we can do destructuring. Okay, and simply I'll say here return. Okay, okay, so if we do this step, our main work will be done. Okay, so this is exactly what you do, right? For products, you will have your product data, product cards. Okay, then for your user data, or for your let's say Netflix has movie Hotstar, right? Then all the movie related data. If you have a Edtech website, right? So you will have some course related cards like that. Okay, so I'll say background color slate 50. Okay, so this is what I'm creating here. I'll create an unordered list. I'll say class name. So the way you want to display, it's up to you. Okay, so I'll be again using this classes. I'll say 400 pixel height. Now I want to give a custom, so this is how you give custom value in classes in Tailwind. I'll say auto. Okay, I'll say divide it into, let's say, y divide slate 200. Okay, this is this is what I have applied. Now I'm going to simply iterate over this data. We use map function, right? Map array helper function, and we'll get each event. I can now call it as event. Okay, and here I'll simply say, now there are two syntax, either I put return, or I can write it with the syntax also, like this shortcut. Okay, because we know in arrow function, single if it's a single return statement, then we can just make it a shorter syntax. But to just, for now, let me just keep it like this. So we pass key attribute, right? React list whenever we are displaying data in an ordered format. So I'll say event.id. Okay, id is this id. Okay, event data has id, title, and speaker. Okay, let me check the spellings. Yes. So inside this, then I'm going to put some class name to it, of course. Then we are going to say padding 4. When I hover over this data, I want to change background color to indigo. Okay, let's say 50. Then I'll say display flex. Okay, I'm just telling the class name what it means. Okay, then justify between means justify content space between. Okay, then text color is slate 800. Slate 800 is the color. Okay, and inside this, what else? Let's display the span tab. Okay, let's keep it in the same line. Okay, just to save our time now. So I'll say event dot title and event dot speaker dot title. Okay, and then I'll say event dot speaker. Okay, so this is how something you would do in real time also with any domain you are in. Okay, if it's a doctor data or anything. Okay, I just mentioned a lot of domains just before this, right? So all those will come semi bold, and here I'll say class name is equal to text slate 500. Okay, this is how it will come. So all this events data should be displayed. I hope I have not messed up any spelling, because that can happen when you manually write. So generally real time you can get these classes and everything, just you can take a bit of use of AI for the tailwind classes. Okay, but of course architecture, structuring, component, and everything is what you should put your brain into, but classes and a bit you can just get it from there also. Okay, there's no issue with that. So now simply we got this. Okay, so now we are going to see if it's coming or Not. Let's see this. Okay, yes, I will still get error. The reason is this on clicks are missing. Okay, so let's fix it. As now what we are doing is simply we have the set method. So now I can fix this part very well. So for example, here I'm saying, or when I click on this toggle theme button, okay, then I want to do, let's say I will change the dark theme. So I will say set is dark mode, okay, and I can just reverse it. I can use is dark mode, okay. So I hope this is understandable. Means if I click on this button called toggle theme, okay, if I click on this button called toggle theme, okay, if it's true, it will become false, and if it is false, it will become true, right? So I'm using this not logical operator here, okay. And now comes the colors part, okay, how the transition of colors is going to happen. So that functionality I'm going to put here, so because that is what. So it depends, right, where you want to use. So based on this, we can make like if I talk about the functionality that I've implemented here, it's simply based on this variable. If this variable is true, then if you can see I've made some changes to this colors. So if you, so these are like book cards. So you can see I have made changes to these colors over here. So for example, if I go here and click on the C, the text and the colors and everything will change here. Okay, so that is somewhat I have done. Okay, so similarly, what I'm going to do here, so I'll apply this condition, or wherever you want, you can pass on that data to that very component. So means this dark theme mode, the variable is same. Now you pass it through props to whichever component and apply the condition. Okay. For now, I'll put the condition over here. Let's say is dark mode. I'll do this conditional rendering here. Okay. And I can use template strings here. I'll say because I want to apply this variable and expression substitution. So I'll use this. Okay. And inside this, I'll put question mark. Okay. I'll say question mark. Okay, if this is the css which is definitely going to come. Okay, so this is the part of css which is going to come, means this p hyphen 8, this is all going to come. Okay, but then for the remaining css, I'll say dark mode question mark. Okay, if it is true, okay, if it's true, then I'll say background color slate 900. Okay, and then I'll say border slate 800. Okay, then I'll say text white. So this is what I'll change here. Means if this value is true, then this css will come. Okay, or so what I'm using here, I'm using ternary operator here. Okay, so and if it is false, then I'll say background will be my white. Okay, some is so I'll say background white. Okay, and background hyphen white. Then I'm going to say border will be 200. Okay, and then I'll say text slate 900. Okay, so this is how it's going to be. Okay, so now this is how I implemented the toggle. So my toggle functionality is completed. Okay, so if I click on this button, if it is this value is false, then it will become true. If it is true, it will become false. We know this part. Whenever a state change, component re-render. What does that mean? Means whenever any of the state variable is changing, this piece of code will execute again. Okay, I'll like re-rendering. If you get confused, just understand that this piece of code is going to execute again. In simple words, okay, this piece of code will execute again every time your state is changing. Okay, so now one functionality we have implemented. Let's see if it's working. Okay, or we are getting any error. Let's see that. Okay, so yes, now search functionality, let's implement this. We are getting error on this. Okay, so value is obviously going to be what we know. State variable is always updated with the latest value. So in value, I'll put the search item. Okay, and on change again, I'll say search item. Okay, event dot target dot value. Okay, of course, after this, you want to put some condition validations on this data. Of course, we can go and create a separate function, and for now I'll put it like this. Okay, now you guys can see it's coming. So if I click on this, see it's happening. Okay, the toggle theme is happening here. Okay, plus this data is coming here. Okay, and this is exactly what we wanted. So this is working. Okay, this part is working. Okay, so now there are two functionality. One functionality we just implemented, which is toggle theme. So this is the classes which is going to come, but from these classes, let me bring it to the next line. So either this classes will come, either this class will come based on whatever the value is, if it is true or false. Okay, if it is true, it will become false. If it is false, it will become true. That is how it will work. Okay. Second part is search functionality. Okay. For search, generally, what we will do, we will simply say const filtered. So this is how I will implement this filtered events is equal to, okay, and I'll say all events dot filter. So we have this array helper function again. Okay, like we did map. This is filter. Filter will help me to filter the data. So what I want to filter, I want to filter these events based on whatever user will enter. Okay, so whatever you will enter here, it will be captured. Okay, here in the state variable, it will be the updated value, and then I can apply functionality on it. Okay, so I can just call it something like this. I can say event. Okay, I'll iterate over this data wherever this data will match. Okay, I'll say event dot title. So now based on what you want to search, I want to search based on title, and we know user can write in uppercase or lowercase. In JavaScript is case sensitive, so I can just make it all as lowercase or uppercase. Okay, then I can use this includes. Okay, and then whatever user is entering, search item to lowercase. Okay, that's it. This is what I'll do here simply. So now instead of sending this event, I'll send filtered events. Why filtered events? Because that will always have the latest events that I want to display. Okay, this is how it will work. Okay, and I just want to add like one thing over here. Okay, while doing this step, I'll just quickly do one thing. Okay, I want to put some console here. Okay, event occur, or else say filtering 5,000 records, because these are the number of data I have. Now I'll just change quickly few things in my code. I'll say return this. Okay. Basically, I was using shortcut syntax now earlier. So basically, I want to show you guys this console part. That's why I brought it to this. Okay, there is some syntax issue. I guess, yeah, it's fixed. Okay, so now all this data will be filtered. So what will happen? User will enter the data. Search whenever user will enter the data. This data will be updated. Like the state data will be updated. Okay, whenever a state data will change, right? Then what will happen? This is basically when you enter something, this change event will fire. This function is going to make the change in the state variable. That is search. This component will re-render. So now what is happening? I'm consoling it to show you what is the problem. Okay, so if I come here, let me refresh it with the latest. Okay, now let me go to console, because I want to show you guys this part. The problem is here. Okay, this will tell you the problem part. Okay, so just look here. It's filtering. The moment I've just started, this is see, it's filtering these very records. Okay, so let's say it has filtered. Okay, even I let me remove it. So I'll write something here. Just see, I'll write something here. Okay, I'll say 0. Okay, okay, I got some error. Event is not. Oh, my bad. I've not mentioned E here. Okay, it's refreshing. Let's wait. Now let me go to console. Okay, so I'll search the data here. Okay, so I'll even remove this for a moment. Okay, I'll search here. Let's say 0. Okay, so can you see the moment I have written 0? Can you all see this number of times this data is being filtered? See, means this loop is executing 5,000 times, because filter is nothing but a loop, right? Filter, all these array helper functions are syntactical sugar-coated syntax and doing some task for you, but eventually for loop or some loop is running, right? Just see here, the moment I've written something here, let's say 1, just look here, the moment I've written 0 or 1, that number of times. So what is this line number 15? You see this number of line, every time you're changing the state, component is re-rendered and that data is being filtered every time. Okay, even though okay, so this is happening, this is one part of it. Okay, this is happening, so we understood that this is running that number of times. Okay, now I'll clear it. Okay, now what I'll do here, I'll click on toggle theme. Now just look here. Now this we understood, right? Every time this is running of course it is searching for 5,000 records. Okay, so when you generally implement these filter functionality, now when you guys work with, you see you work with maximum I think 100 data, right? Even in free APIs you get 500 100 200 data. That's why today I created 5,000 records. The reason is I wanted to show you guys that real time you will have lakhs of records. Okay, so that data will be searched from. That is one part that we understood. Now second part is toggle functionality, right? Now I'll implement, click on toggle. Okay, one second. Okay, one second. My system is hanging a bit. Okay, one second. I'll just refresh this page. Okay. Okay, and then I'll tell you why my application is running slow. Let me open and show you here. Just a moment. Okay, I'll show you the reason. Because when I clicked on toggle theme, I am working on this part. Okay. Still, this data was iterated 5,000 times. Okay, that and I just clicked on toggle theme, 2, 3 times. So it all implemented together. So right now, initially, obviously, it will be filtered. Right now, I'll click on toggle theme. Now, just see here, I have clicked on toggle theme. Okay, but this functionality is being executed, and I'm not changing anything in my search. I hope it's visible. I am clicking on toggle theme and just look here. This piece of code is being executed. Why? Because every time a state is changing, a component is re-rendered. Means this piece of code will execute again. And when I say this piece of code will execute again, so this filter functionality will happen every time. Okay, that is exactly the problem is. Now just see here, 5,000 records are being searched here. Okay, and it is obviously not correct. Okay, now just imagine in a real time you will have so many records. Let's say doctor data, you can think of Netflix, movie data, TV shows, right? You can think of product data. So every time this much amount of data will be filtered, and I'm not working on filter part, I'm not working on search data, I am working on toggle. Again, I'll show you. I'll click on this and see this data has started filtering, and also it is making my application slow in a way. Okay, it is also making my application slow in a way, right? Because now just see here, if you see why, if I click on toggle, immediately it is not happening. I hope this part is visible as well. The moment I'm clicking on toggle, the filter toggling is not happening immediately, right? It's basically waiting, or because it's a synchronous code, so it will wait for this part also need to be done. Okay, so once it's done, then it is reflecting the change. So every time component will re-render, this piece of code will execute, and this part will be calculated, the number of records. Let's say 5,000 I have, so 5,000 records are going to be executed. Okay, so and even though I'm not changing, so when you have couple of functionalities in your component, and of course based on some state, let's say one is dependent on search, one is dependent on this dark theme, and the data is rendering. Okay, so what is happening, I am getting, like, the application is becoming slower. So how will you optimize? Now comes your use state hook. Okay, so now what, this is exactly what we wanted to optimize. This is exactly what we want to optimize. Okay, so this, I hope this part is clear. Okay, I hope it's clear. Just put it in the chat box, and even if you are watching it after, just let me know. I hope this part is clear, that this is the problem. This piece of code is executed even after, even though I'm not changing anything in input, search input, still I'm implementing another functionality in the same component, and this will, based on some functionality, so component will re-render because of state change. Okay, so this is the part I need to memorize. Okay, this is that expensive calculation, this is that value that we have to memorize. So here you see, this is the value I want to memorize. Okay, means this data should change only when search item should change, right? Otherwise there's no point of doing filtering if my search item is actually not changing. Okay, so what I'll do here, I'll just show you guys the syntax first. Okay, so we use memo hook like this, use memo. Okay, so you import it here. Okay, and it takes two things. It takes a callback where your actually the functionality part will come, comma, a dependency array. Okay, if you know use effect, it's similar to that. Only difference is like here, just like use effect, you implement let's say like in use effect you implement component data update, like only state data is changed, then that is called. So it is similar to that, but the work is it will memorize, it will remember this value of filter data. Okay, so now if I cut this part, okay, so I'll just cut this functionality from here first, and I'll put it here. Okay, And this complete part I'll cut and paste it here. Okay, and of course, just to mention here, this is the syntax. It takes a callback, okay, comma, it takes a array, okay, with some, and there can be couple of dependencies. Let's say search item, comma, one state dependency, another state dependencies. Okay, so in short, I'll just put here space state dependencies. Okay, this is how it will be. Just ignore the spelling. Yeah, I think it's correct. Okay, dependencies. So now let's just quickly fix some, syntax and all if I have messed up. So I'll say this part will come. Okay, I'll just shift this line. Okay, to here. Okay, and I'll cut this line and I'll keep it here. Okay, and also, okay, there are some, spelling mistakes I will have to fix because I just copied whatever the code I had there. So I'll just do one thing. Let me remove this return from here and bring it to the same line. Okay, and I'll just remove this here. Yeah, I think it's fixed. Okay. Now you will see using this use memo, it takes a callback and the array dependent state dependency means now the search item will change. Then this piece of code will execute. Okay. Now this search item will change. Then this piece of code will execute. Also, you have to return something from this use memo. Okay. So whatever you want to return, you have to return that part. So now you'll see if I run this code. Okay. And I will change the toggle theme and you will see it will be correct. Now I'll go here. Okay, and here I'll quickly refresh before we check. Okay, now I'll go to inspect. Okay, now just I'll so initially of course it will happen. I'll remove it and just click on see. I'll click on toggle theme. Okay, can you all see now that 5,000 filtering is not happening? I hope you all are able to see, right? Now this filtering is not happening. If you are like, understood, just put it in the comments. So if I click on this, see, now this part is not coming. So this is not going to execute till you go and change the search item. Now let me go and change the search item, of course. If I see, now the search item will change. Okay. Now the search item will change. See, now it will happen, otherwise not. Okay, now the search part will, so when you're searching only then this piece of code will execute. This piece of code will not execute if you are not changing. So if I click on toggle theme, see, the thing is happening. So and just see here, if you observe, the toggle theme has become super smooth. Earlier it was not. Okay, and let me quickly do one more thing because I want you guys to understand this concept very well. I'll put a comment here because I'll be sharing this code with you all. Okay, that I'll put a comment here. Earlier it was like this, without hook. Okay, and after this, just after this, we'll discuss React memo. Okay, React.memo, that is also easy. Okay, so I'll just quickly copy this and I'll put it here. Okay, so that when you go and go and revise this part, so you run this code first and see the problem yourself. Of course, right now I am showing it, right? Of course, like I'm working on React from a longer time, so I understand all this part, right? But I just want you guys to go back, try this code first. Okay, and quickly I'll put a curly brace here. Okay, this, and return this. Okay, because I want two line statements, right? If you have two lines of code here in our arrow function, then you can't use a shorter syntax of return keyword. Okay, just I'll quickly fix this brackets and all. Here you can see. Okay, it's done. So when you go and practice now, okay, when you go and practice now, I want you to practice this part first. Okay, so it's ending where dot filter events curly brace. Okay, so it's okay, just a second, it's ending here. Okay, did I make some spelling or okay, just a moment. I'll fix this by writing it again. Okay, So you write a filter, filter takes a callback, okay? And I want to put this here, and this will be my events. Okay. So yeah. So now when you go and practice without this hook, this is how it's going to be. Okay. I'll comment it. And once with the hook, this is how it will be. Okay. And of course, you have to pass events here. Okay. That is the first part of today's session. Okay. That is use memo. And I hope this part is clear to all. Okay. And in real time now someone asks you, see in interviews now, these are the only three things which is important. See, if you are a working professional now, I hope you understand wherever you have this type of functionalities you can implement. Let's say you implement pagination, right? If you implement pagination also, that time also you can use memo. If you're using pagination, if you're using toggle theme, or if you're using this search functionalities, all this place you should use memo. Okay, you will have a requirement of use memo. Okay, now second part of this is, that is React.memo. Okay. Now, what is React.memo? Okay. So now what is happening, team? Now you see you are sending this data here, cards data. If you are sending all this data to this card every time you are searching for this data, or rather you are just changing toggling theme every time this filter events is being calculated, updated data is going, and these cards are being displayed. Okay. So I'll quickly show you with the again with the console, like what is the problem. Okay. So I'll put a console here. Then you will see, since you are iterating and displaying this cards data, so that number of time this is also being called. Okay, just for display part, because whenever you have a child, simple, it's a parent component, right? Events is a parent component. Okay, and this is event card is a child component. Okay, so component tree structure is like this. If I draw quickly component tree structure, okay, so you will see there is an app component at the top. Okay, app component has events. Okay, of course remaining you have dashboard and live feed. Okay, and home. Then event cards has events has event card. Okay, so this is your child component. So this is like a parent. Okay, and this is like a child component. This is how it is. This is parent, this is child. Okay. So now whenever you are sending data from parent to child over here like this, you're displaying, so you're sending all the events data. Okay. So you're sending array of objects. So all this data is going and displayed. So iterations are happening here. So every time your component is re-rendered, okay, I'll repeat again. Every time your component is being re-rendered, okay, so that data is being iterated that number of times. Means if you every time you are sending this data to this component, so this display is also being re-rendered. And if again the same case, if your data has not been changed, right, there's no point of, if your prop has not changed, basically these are what your attribute, HTML attribute, we pass props by HTML attribute, and if you go here as props, right, we did destructuring, so it's a prop here, right? So if your prop has not changed, simply if your prop, this event has not changed, right, so what is the point of iterating this data? It's already displayed, right? There's no point of iterating and re-rendering and display it again. So what the same case, if I do toggle theme, the component will re-render, means this piece of your code will rerun. Okay, so again the filter data will be sent, again the same filter data. Okay, same filter data will go to this component, and this data is will be displayed. Okay, and I'll show you the proof also, so you can see data is iterated. Okay, I'll just put here quickly iterated. And to fix this, there is just one simple word I have to put. Okay, I'll show you. So every time I'm changing a toggle theme, okay, this data is being iterated. If I go here, okay, now, if I click on toggle theme, see the data is iterated. If I click on this, see data is iterated. Okay. So every time there is no point of calling this past. Okay. Because there is no data changed in child comp. Whenever there is prop change, right? Then only you want that piece of code to re-render. But I'm changing the toggle theme and this data has not changed. But still you will see in this component, this part will be executed. So again, the question is of optimization. So now use React.memo says, okay, React.memo is a high ordered component. Okay, so memo, just memo. Okay, memo. So don't get confused between these two. Use memo is a hook, and memo is a high ordered component. Now, what are high ordered component? High ordered component is just very much similar to your high ordered functions of JavaScript, which takes a component and returns a component with some supercharged power. Okay, so just to understand high ordered component very quick, okay, I'll just take an example. Let's say I have a pizza. Okay, I have a pizza which is raw, it's unbaked. Okay, I'll pass my pizza through a baking machine. I'll pass my pizza through a baking machine. Okay, baking machine, and then what I'll get the same pizza, but it is baked, and this is exactly your high order components are, that you pass a component, okay, through some common reusable functionality. Okay, so what it returns the same component plus functionality applied to it. Okay, for example, very simple example of this is, color change. Okay, if you want to apply this color change, so this functionality is, let's say, color change, you want to apply colors to a component. Okay, it's a reusable piece of code. Okay, so that's the main idea of high order components. You can, today's session was not about high order components, otherwise I would have gone in depth of that. Our focus is more optimization hooks, so I'll stick to that. Okay, but just to give you guys a perspective, so memo is a high order component, and use memo is a hook. Okay, it's a hook. Okay, and this is a high order component. So whenever you have a child component which accepts some prop data, okay, so if the prop data has not changed, there is no point of re-rendering that piece of code, that component itself, because data has not changed. So how will you fix it? So it's very simple. You will just write one single line here. You will write here memo. Okay, that's it. So memo also takes a callback function. Okay, and I'm going to close it over here. That's it. Okay, it also takes this memo is also going to take this function over here. Okay, so this is the memo. Okay, and yeah, here it is. And also, of course, we have to import it. Okay, and of course, I hope you guys know this part. Anything is which is React dot, like React dot fragment, React dot memo. Okay, anything you see a React dot component in React, if you write, see anything as React dot something, right? So either you write it as this, okay, or you just either you write it like this or you import it from the React. Okay, I hope this part you guys know, right? So there is extra return here. Okay, so this is how it is. Okay, so now let's see this part quickly. So now you can see, yeah, okay, let me clear it off. Okay, so now you can see I'm clicking on this and this is not being called. See, this event card is not being called. See, it is not going to be called. But yes, if I go and make any change to it, for example, I'll write 0 here. Then this data is being called. Then this data obviously going to come. Okay. So this event card itself is not going to re-render. This is also not going to re-render. So this is a memo is generally used, React.memo, the memo, when you have this parent-child relationship between your data, between components and child components, you're passing some prop. So you want, if the prop has not changed, means filter event has not changed, that there is no point of re-rendering this component. Okay, so now, and you can see it yourself. The when I'm doing toggle theme, see, no, not that data is being called, not this console is being called, and not this console, right? But the moment, of course, when I'm implementing search, then of course these both are going to be called. Okay, and right now the code I've showed you, it's a department, a development environment. That's why you can see it's coming twice. Just ignore this one, install hook. This is basically when you see the same code in prod, now this extra one is not going to come in. Development generally comes twice. So main output is this only, line number 25 and this 4. Okay, and I hope whatever I have spoken, whatever I have said, okay, it's all in this document over here. Okay, you can just come, read, see, it's a diagrammatical also I've added. Why what is the science behind re-rendering, what is the meaning of memoization, right? Everything is mentioned, both the things we discussed for components, for values and calculations, as you can see. This we use for component, this we use for this. Okay, and now you can see, I told you, now memo is a high order competency. It takes a component, it takes a function, it's taking this event card component, which is a function based component, and returning a component, okay, with some supercharged one. So if this data has changed, then it will return, otherwise not. Okay, and you guys can give a reading. So whatever I've spoken, it's the code and everything is here. Plus, if you want to get access to this code, just after this session, I'm going to push it to my GitHub. Okay, I'm going to push it to my GitHub. Okay, I'm going to push it to my GitHub profile, and that GitHub profile, that repository link, I'll post it in the WhatsApp community. Okay, so you guys can just join that and get access to this code. Okay, tomorrow we'll talk about use callback, which is also very important, and also I'll continue in the same code. Okay. Okay, I just didn't wanted this React bootcamp to be very separate. Like day one we are discussing, so there's a different app. I just wanted to make it a continuous. So in the end, you have one app and you understand where I have applied this. So that you can go back and apply the same in your projects, and this will help you to prepare for interviews. Okay, and I was just saying, like, interview point of view, what is important. Okay, that I take thousands of hundreds of, in a year I take thousands of mock interviews of the students, right? For working professionals or freshers also, I train students in the same, right? So based on that, just remember there are only three things which is important. The definition is, doesn't have to be what you see in Google, it's your understanding of the concept. Second thing which is important is the syntax, because they can ask you to write the syntax also. Third thing that is important is the real time usage. You should know the real time usage of that concept. Okay, so code, syntax, explanation, and the real time use case. So if someone asks you this question, you can simply answer this part. Okay, so let's. I think we are almost at the end of this today's day one boot camp. Okay, okay. Some of you might go back and see it later. So I hope you understood this and enjoyed this. Just get the access of this code by joining the community. Okay, and also subscribe to my YouTube channel to get access to. So every week I'll do this. Okay, and if you want me to cover any topic in Mon, Jenny, just feel free to put it. I would love to cover it. Okay, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Okay, thank you. Bye.